Stop paying for playlists. Hey, you right there. Listen to this video. Stop paying for playlists. Okay, guys, that was my PSA. What's up, guys? I'm gonna make this nice, short, and sweet for you. My name is Willie Chill. I work with Artist Collective in the digital marketing strategy for artists and for the company. I wanted to jump in here and talk about something that I'm seeing going on with Distrokid and kind of give a little bit of my expertise and knowledge towards the subject and try to fill in any gaps about maybe some misconceptions of what's happening here. So, to my understanding, people are blaming Distrokid for the takedown of thousands of songs, including maybe some of their own, and they're confused as to why that happened, or if it's I should blame Distrokid, or who's in charge here, what happened. But really, I think the blame doesn't necessarily rest with the distributor. It's going to rest with Spotify, and if you're really honest with yourself, it's going to lie in the artist hands. So what's going on here is Spotify, for the first time, maybe not even the first time, but they really made a big sweeping movement to remove a lot of the fake streams that were happening on songs all across their platforms. And if you're a modern day artist, you know very well what the hype of all these playlists are, these pay to play, and kind of just having to, pay $50, $100, $150 to be in these spots in these playlists. And it's just a fucking mess, right? So what happened is Spotify has recognize those streams, realize that they go against their terms of service, and have taken them down. A lot of people are blaming Distrokid because I believe that the majority of tracks that were taken down at first were from Distrokid. But if it's from my perspective, I probably believe that this is going to be the first wave that comes through from Spotify. I would imagine that there's probably going to be another wave of takedowns probably in the near future. And if your distributor is through Distrokid, they've actually opened a portal for you to be able to communicate with Spotify about these takedowns. So if you're having issues or problems, or you didn't pay for fake playlists or anything like that, you can go through Distrokid if you distribute with them and open a ticket in order to create some type of service with Spotify to see if they'll be able to put your music back up on the DSP. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about algorithms and how these fake plays or fake streams might influence your algorithmically based playlists, or in turn, like your whole profile in general. So I have studied extensively into Spotify algorithms and algorithms of different platforms over the last couple of months and over the last couple of years. And I've really dug into how developers built the platforms, how they built the algorithms, and how the algorithms work in their modern states. So I specifically want to talk about user API, artist API, and song API. So what an API is essentially kind of consider it like a profile of your song, a profile of your artistry. That's a combination of your discography. Or a user profile might be something that you would have if you are consuming music on Spotify. You yourself as a consumer, as a fan, have a user API. So let's start as a fan. When you are streaming music from Joe Blow down the street and Billie Eilish and your local neighborhood rapper, you've got a couple of different factors there. So first, if you're streaming Billie Eilish along with your neighborhood rapper, you've got two different popularity index that is going to influence your API. So artists in and of themselves have a popularity index that's based off of how popular they are. You can find all of this information on Chartmetric if you're a pro member for that website, but that is going to help influence your API. So if you're put on a playlist that has all these really famous artists, and then you're not really feeding the API useful information, because it gives you a popularity index of 10, and these other artists maybe in the 70s, 60s, 80s, somewhere in that vicinity, which is really unlike the type of music that you're making or where you're at in your ecosystem. So you need to attribute your music to people who listen to music just like you. So you need to find playlists that have lower artists in popularity index, or kind of similar to you, rather than gigantic, really famous artists, because it's not really going to do you any good. And then in addition, let's talk about an artist API or a song API. So specifically with a song API, if you're feeding in bad information, fake streams, fake users, this kind of stuff, like what happened with Spotify and Distrokid and these songs currently, what you're going to find is that these fake streams are coming in and they're influencing how Spotify sees your song, where it should be located in the ecosystem of all the music. And if it's all fake, then they don't really know what to do with it, especially if it's coming from third world countries. So they're going to put your music next to artists that also pay to play, and you're going to be put into these playlists that maybe don't necessarily match your genre or your mood or your popularity index, and don't really help the algorithm feed into useful information to be able to put you into some of the more popular algorithmically based playlists like Discover Weekly or Release Radar. One of the more interesting things to tie into this with Discover Weekly is that the way that it's generated is it takes a list of songs that you already listened to and then takes one out. And then the algorithm goes in and tries to find which one is missing out of that list of songs that was fed to it. So once it's able to guess that missing song, the algorithm is able to guess that missing song as many times as there are songs on your Discover Weekly, then that is your Discover Weekly. All of those missing songs makes up your Discover Weekly. But it only is able to generate that information if it has correct API. So songs that fit into the correct API are measured because that's the missing link. Your your user API is used to generate those songs in Discover Weekly, and the artist API is used to help fuel that algorithmically based playlist. Because if an artist has an API that's way over here and a song API is here, they have to match together in order for it to be a conclusive, real result that Discover Weekly is going to use in the algorithmically based playlist. Now, Release Radar works kind of similar. It's just going to be new music rather than all music. But if you're not feeding this API useful information, you're not really going to get anywhere with your music, and it's all going to be bad information. It might go to fake people, and it's not going to go to the real fans that are actually going to want to listen to your stuff, that are already listening to stuff just like the music that you're putting out. You're just feeding it information because you kind of want to have some vanity metrics. You want to get some streams. Maybe you want to get 100,000 streams in your song, but it's not going to generate you followers because they're just passive listeners. They're just regular people that don't give a care about who you are or what you're doing. They're just on a playlist. They're trying to listen to, Mac Miller and DaBaby. So not you. If your popularity index doesn't match or your API doesn't fit within the places that it's trying to put your song, then it's not going to perform well. If it doesn't perform well, it doesn't move on to the next stages that are in the algorithm. Like for Release Radar, if you are pumped into the first round of Release Radar and you do really well, people are listening to your song, they're liking it, they're sharing it, you're going to get bumped out to the second round of Release Radar, which is going to push you out further to people who might be a little bit more broad in that API. But if it's going to the wrong people right away because you fed into pay-to-play playlists that don't match all of the criteria to feed the algorithm useful information, then you're never going to make it to the second round, let alone the third or the fourth round in the algorithm. So this being said, don't pay for playlists. Okay, guys, that was my PSA. Talk to you soon.